I'd like to thank the support of my runner-up film buyer, Ken, right here. He definitely supports me, and I wouldn't be able to do what I do without his help.
Boo.
I take it
Talk
back.
about world peace.
I could totally do it without him.
There we go. That's what we like. That's what we like, a confidence in
fact,
film buying.
Given our amazing website and my booking software, I really don't even need him, but it's nice to have a warm body in the office.
This is the Off the Break Podcast, your podcast dedicated to current movie theater news, operations, and insights from the people that book the movies. Now, here are your hosts, Cody, Kyle, and Ken.
Haha, it's Mickey 17 week. Haha. Here at Off the Break Podcast. Wrong Mickey, same name.
Or it is a variant of Robert Pattinson, because there's multiples of him as Mickey, right?
Yeah.
It could be one of them.
I mean,
we don't know.
I already know that I'm not going to enjoy this movie because Robert Pattinson's in it.
That makes sense. I was like, why wouldn't Ken like this movie? And I could not think about it.
I didn't even think of that part, but because earlier before we recorded, you guys were saying that you hope to go out and see Mickey 17, which shocked me because I don't know if that's up your guys' alley.
I like cerebral movies, Kyle. I'm not such a dolt.
Well,
such an
uneducated adult.
I'm such an uneducated movie watcher that I wouldn't enjoy a thinker.
The past few thinkers that we've talked about, where I'm like, I think it is just a masterpiece of thinking, and you guys are like, so I just am assuming that this could happen again.
It's not an out there assumption.
They're usually long. Yeah. They're usually boring.
I like the premise
of. Are only proving my
I like the premise of this, so that's why I want to see it.
It does look good.
And unlike Ken, I don't hate Robert Pattinson, but I was always Team Jacob. So
I'm so glad they keep pushing back this Batman movie. I don't want to be forced to see another.
I'm almost wondering if it's not happening at this point. Yeah. I don't know.
I know.
I'm at that territory now with Batman.
I could see where there is some ego territory stuff going down with that.
They want to keep Christopher Nolan. They can't make another Batman.
No,
they keep
not
everything
that.
in-house.
That it's
James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn,
maybe?
And he's like, I have my own ideas for Batman, and it's not yours.
Batman's going to be some sort of like bat and man merged together that doesn't speak English that solves crime somehow. Wonderful.
Would it be a thinker?
Wonderful. No, he doesn't do thinkers.
More like a stinker.
Yeah, he does stinkers. No, he just does his own thing, and sometimes it really works, and a lot of times it really doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's working that out. But we get Mickey 17 this week, and we have lots of news about last week.
Right.
This
is a catch-up podcast.
Pretty much, yeah. So last week.
And then the Off the Break Awards.
Yay!
I'm so excited to be here for that.
Ken and I have fun.
Let's start with the what's most important to us is the local news.
Local news, yes. So Ken and I got to go to the Capitol in Montana legislature and speak out against a bill that would have stripped the minimum guarantee protections from theaters in Montana. So in Montana and a couple other states, theaters do not have to pay a minimum guarantee. And
if you're listening to us in a state not Montana, Utah, Idaho, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, or Kentucky, you see on your film rental terms a % and a minimum guarantee. In the states that I did just mention, it's either a percentage or a flat fee for any bookings. Doing so, not having that minimum guarantee saves theaters from every film not having a required amount that they have to pay on each film. You only pay a percentage of your ticket sales, which seems, generally speaking, a very fair way to appraise the art that you're putting on screen.
It only makes as much as it earns, basically, and you're not forced to pay more out of pocket for something that didn't work for your audience.
So Cody marched into a committee meeting and let her voice be heard.
I was alerted to this piece of legislation the night before they were going to debate it in a committee. And there you have two options in Montana. You can go speak out in person for or against any bill, or you could do it through Zoom. And I it was close enough that
Or you can wake up at 4 a.m.
that
and
we
drive
could wake
2
up at
hours through
4
the dark.
a.m.
There was a road trip planned
and there was
anyway.
there was a road trip. First day of my vacation, I decided to take a detour.
It's always when a vacation is planned, something always is going to come up. Only this time, it was a bit more big compared to most other hiccups.
My regret was that I didn't know about it sooner, that I wasn't able really to prepare. All I knew was that it was important and I had to go and speak out against it. And so Ken supported me in this, and we went. And we had to sit in 5 hours listening to all the other bills that were being debated in that committee. I learned a lot.
We were the least important of the things going on.
We were the least important.
Which is crazy.
Well.
No, there was
bills on marijuana packaging, because recreational marijuana is legal in the state of Montana. There was bills on
workers'
having
comp for PTSD,
allowing PTSD to be a workman's comp.
That can go at the top of the list.
For first responders only. There was a caveat there. It was.
There was so many things that were.
If traveling nurses had to be under the same requirements, lots of real actual things we should really debating. Not to saying that theaters aren't important. This was very important, and this really affected. At least 18 of our theaters in the state of Montana. So this was significant for us.
It was personal.
In effect, it was going to affect all but about 10 of the 40 theaters that operate in the state.
Yeah. So, I mean, the big Regals, AMCs, Cinemarks in the state, they never have a minimum. They always make their minimums. It's not an issue for them.
They don't count.
This is for the little single screen Main Street theater in your downtown small town that may only have 20 people on a weekend for some films, and they would have to pay the minimum without this legislation. And it was very personal to me. I had a personal connection to it. The legislation that created this statute, it was 44 years old. I found out nearly to the day.
Wow.
They were debating it 44 years ago in the legislature to have it passed, and several of my father's colleagues went and talked about it, and including my father's mentor, who spearheaded the legislation. So,
cool.
In a very roundabout way, I felt like the next generation that was trying to protect this. This legislation.
Yeah.
So it was personal and important, and luckily, it wasn't malicious. There wasn't any nefarious tactics, or it wasn't like the big studios coming for minimums in the state of Montana. It wasn't anything like that. It really was just a representative looking at, our governor has asked representatives to look at statutes and say, are these applicable today? And if not, let's get rid of them.
Right.
And they just didn't understand and didn't reach out to any theaters. So they just saw
a bit of an oversight.
Yeah, they just saw a 44-year-old statue and that said fair trade and motion picture practices in the title. And
we have TikTok now.
That seems antiquated.
And it does seem antiquated. I think there is this perception that we should fight against, that because the first Trump administration got rid of the Paramount decrees, which allowed movie studios to own theaters, that somehow that snowballed legislation into being against anti-blind bidding laws, which this legislation in the state of Montana began as an anti-blind bidding law. It just happened to have the extra caveat of getting rid of of minimum guarantees, which is great. So while we don't do bidding anymore for film rental terms or for movies, and that's not how the process is booked anymore, by throwing the whole statute out, you would have gotten rid of the minimum guarantee provision, and that would have really hurt theaters. So it was just, that's why you have an opportunity to go speak out against legislation, because sometimes there are unintended consequences that you didn't realize. So we just reiterated that this statute was very much in use still, even if it looks like the first provision of the statute against the blind bidding was not as in use anymore, that you can't really throw out that first part without throwing out the whole statute. And if you throw that out, then the minimum guarantee, which is very much in use today, would have been a problem.
Yeah, just a very good example on how you think everything's going great and you can seem untouchable to many
Yeah.
changes going on in the world, and then sure enough, there's going to be something somewhere, a little nugget of a law.
Right, you're just so vulnerable. And
more than you
theaters
think.
are so vulnerable because of the misconception about how much money they bring in and how you get movies and how movies. And the poor gal that was sponsoring this bill was just like,
That met you?
Yeah, that met me and was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. She just was like, we just thought with streaming, wasn't an issue. Well,
A law
I don't even
44
know.
years ago, they thought
Yeah.
it relied on stream. Cool.
Yeah,
Cool,
that
guys.
somehow streaming, the technology has
Just an
changed so
oversight.
much that this isn't part of the problem. Like, it just
Wild.
fundamentally, you do not understand the process, and that's fine. Like, I'm not asking you to educate yourself on everything, but I am asking you to have reached out to somebody to ask. Like, you
Put a
have
bit more pressure on that.
one of the theaters that we book for was in her district, and she could have easily have just called the theater and asked, but
Yeah.
they said they reached out to a trade organization, didn't have the name of what it was, and never heard back.
So yeah, that was interesting, but the committee
After a
had the massive amount of opposition known as Codi and several others.
and so there were other
And
theaters. We rallied some theaters to speak out against it and submit opposition to it via emails.
Yep.
So
Well, that's also...
there was a lot. We
that-
rallied.
Yeah, exactly. And the rallying part is especially important because if it's one of you going to speak up, that's great, but who knows if that really would have sent the message, you know?
Right.
Sometimes more voices are needed to really get the
and
message
and
home.
you know me too. I had like 3 minutes of grade A comedic material ready to go. And then the one before us was about workers' comp for PTSD.
Yeah.
And there was a sheriff from this really small town that just destroyed.
He
had a
did.
tight 5 and just killed. And I was like, I can't beat that. Whatever my jokes were, it's not going to happen
Yeah.
now compared to this dude.
Apparently, it can be the equivalent of the Laugh Factory. Who would have thought?
It was
a real comedians club.
I
Sheriff Leo, wherever you're at, you absolutely destroyed that room. You have a second
awesome.
career in your 80s, I'm guessing, doing stand-up.
yeah.
Hey, that's not a bad path for like a
He was packing
quasi-retirement.
too. Because he was full sheriff outfit. Totally had his sidearm right there packing in front of him.
Yeah,
That was surreal to be like, oh,
I
okay,
would
we
love-
can do this in the state of Montana. Just have a weapon right there in front of the
I would
committee.
love to see a sheriff do stand-up with a gun. And
Oh
then
my gosh.
reference the gun like,
Yeah.
I didn't see you laugh.
that was pretty
Right.
funny, right?
Right, he was old, so he was a little shaky too. So
Oh,
it's
not
like,
when they draw it, though.
Yeah.
That's just an act.
Anyway, they tabled it, removed it from
yes,
discussion.
it's not
and
even
it's
going to go forward.
hopefully protected
That's good.
for another 44 years when someone else can stand up for it.
Right. Maybe our children's children.
Yeah.
No, it was
Well, well done, guys.
Fun thing. It was fun to
In
have
hindsight.
it be successful in hindsight. It was very stressful, and after 5 hours listening to people talk, and a headache and being dehydrated, and then being told, well, we're running out of time. We got to get through everybody speaking out. All the witnesses have to get through their stuff really quick. I just fumbled my thing, but I came out and just,
I doubt she fumbled it.
I did. I fumbled. It's fine. It's
The
still, we
only
got
critique
success.
was she spoke a little small,
I didn't get
tiny amount
all my
fast.
points out either.
She spoke a little fast. This is Sandy Koufax throwing a ball in the 9th inning, so he didn't get a perfect game.
Yeah.
The desired result happened.
Ah, darn.
Everything was great.
Well, yeah. It's great that you guys could help be a part of making sure that stays intact and be good spokesmen for the industry.
And then
We're
we
here. We're
eventually
protecting our theaters.
made it to our trip away. We visited the Fox Theater in Spokane, and shout out to them and their staff and the venue and
It's
everything.
so
was
pretty. It's not a movie theater. It's a live venue, but it was built as a movie theater and in
Oh,
just
okay.
Art
built as a
Deco.
1,000-seat movie theater.
Oh my gosh.
Thousand.
Yeah. Back one of those old back in the day huge ones. And We
The
booked for
balcony was bigger than the floor
It's
was.
sold out every weekend probably.
Yeah.
No matter what the movie.
we have booked for a few of those really old 1,000-seaters, and one of our last ones converted to a 3-screen
They're
theater.
fit 3 auditoriums in the same space.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you how big these spaces are. But
Yeah.
it was beautiful, restored Art Deco. Just I love. That's my favorite. Is that Art Deco 1940s like
Crazy like
movie
tropical
theater
wallpaper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
it's like elaborate and tacky at the same time.
right, but it's like gilded and shiny, and then
Yeah.
there's starbursts, and then there's like whole sky, like night sky.
There's just a
motifs
random
like
like
and-
glass peacock in one of the rooms.
So
That doesn't even make sense, but I'm entranced.
I am. I love that. In my heart of hearts is my. If I could own a movie theater, that's the type I would own.
Like
Yeah.
Inside the auditorium was like an Egyptian owl on top of a tortoise.
Yeah.
On both sides
On
that
both
were carved.
sides. I took pictures of it. It was so amazing.
I have to see it. That's awesome.
It's
It
too
was
crazy.
So pretty.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of not pretty, the Broccolis sold
Yeah.
the rights to James Bond.
About time.
Yeah, we talked about it last week, but I figured
Right.
we need
Throw
to have
our
your
2 cents in?
Well, because why not?
Yeah.
We like hearing these rants about Bond.
So I appreciate how a somebody has been the steward of this franchise.
Collective,
And-
group,
yeah.
family.
and that they had a vision and wanted quality, and I think that they've done a very good job mastering that.
Yeah.
I do think though that like all of us, they have grown old and weary, and it is time to pass the torch.
I was
But-
gonna say tired, but
Tired, but I just do think you get to an age and a point where you become out of touch with your audience,
I think that's fair.
With the audience.
with the overall audience,
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't mind them passing the torch at this
Close.
point.
I didn't know if there was additional
It's-
news.
No, it's good. It's good timing. However, I'm bummed that it's to Amazon and
To
not.
the corporate
Yeah, I think
conglomerate.
some of the best films in the quality and where you're just like, wow, that was an experience, have been shepherded by somebody with a vision. It has not been shepherded by a board of people at a corporation that ticked off boxes. It has
Certainly.
been a person or a team of people with a singular vision that brought it and fought for it, and I don't think that selling something like a big franchise has worked when you sold it to corporate overlords. I think that's why Indiana Jones hasn't worked, why Star Wars is where it's at. They can't give you the authenticity that a single person who has a real passion and love for it can do.
Right. Gone is, even within franchise standards, Gone is the singular vision and voice that
Right.
feels authentic, and it's more of the catch-all of how does this all
How
fit the same, feel the same, look the same, so that way there is
we can merchandise
branding
it
and
and
merchandising
Right.
across
Yeah.
the board.
make money off
The
this.
thought is
which is our worry as well.
that I hope that Amazon does the right thing and finds a British producer, filmmaker.
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, Danny Boyle again.
Danny Boyle again.
To sit and be the steward of this for them.
Yeah.
And to be able to make singular decisions on this.
Right.
To have one person who's deeply involved in the film industry make the decision on who James Bond
No,
is.
Yeah,
I would
what it is.
argue that Disney has tried to do that with their stuff, and to varying degrees of results. But I think the issue is they were still all had to work within like bumpers
the framework,
of
yeah.
What
like
does our
you can
brand
have
stand for?
you can have as much leeway as you want within these boundaries.
Sure.
And you feel that watching these movies, you feel like there were bumpers put on this stuff. Like nothing feels like, whoa, this is new or different, or just feels like somebody's vision. It just,
Yeah.
I don't know. So,
I get what you mean.
and that's probably fine with James Bond because he is a character that can fit into that mold pretty quickly.
I mean, can fit into any time period too.
yeah.
And
So,
I feel like Amazon doesn't they have those bumpers, but they don't necessarily have them the same way that Disney has them.
right. That's what my hope.
That Warner Brothers
Sure.
has them. They don't have this 100 years of film responsibility
No.
that they have to figure out. They don't have currently. They don't have a theme park that they have to keep. Yeah, currently.
Amazon land.
But they don't have those things in place, and their film department is not the most important thing to them.
Right.
Like Time Warner,
Yeah, but they
AOL,
they
Discovery.
spent so much money on this, $1 billion again on it after purchasing
Buying the
$4 billion.
Yeah.
So now they're like $5 billion into this, and it's a lot.
Time to make a $200 million James Bond movie.
Time to make
It's
some money.
Produced by Danny Boyle and Christopher Nolan.
That's probably the idea.
yeah.
I do think that Bond itself, that character, is going to be a movie character still, but I think spin-off and, well, maybe
like a
not
Bond
sequels,
universe.
but the Bond universe stuff could be streaming. That is
Right.
at least like my silver lining of hope.
I might be interested in a Q
I would-
spin-off with
That's
all
how
of
they
his
get ya.
fun gadgets.
Well,
But I would like to
what
see-
if?
Yeah.
What if?
006 not to be a bad guy that's killed in the first 3 minutes.
Just
008, 009, and
Right.
see
We
all
got
these
all
other
the
agents
numbers.
and what they do.
Yeah.
Like figure out this universe and build from this. I mean, this can be what Tom Cruise is doing with Top Gun and taking their time and trying to figure out how they build this
Allegedly.
universe. It's happening, Kyle. There's no way. Tom Cruise.
Thought it would have happened by now. That's all I'm saying.
He's going to outer space very
Let
soon.
him go to his outer space movie first, and then he'll come back and build
let's
this out.
see that happen though.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts outside of that?
No,
It's just so
well,
much money. Like when you
It's
think
a
of
stupid amount of
when you
money.
think of films, like James Bond is like a top 10 character of all time.
Yeah.
In film going, like you
Yeah.
can build it, and like the shark from Jaws, but you do all these things, but like he's up there. But is someone willing to pay $1 billion for Indiana Jones, like, or $5 billion for one of these characters?
They did. Disney did though. I mean,
They didn't pay
They got a pantheon of characters.
yeah,
Right.
This is a
They also got
single.
the alien from Alien.
a
Yeah.
single character, single idea, like, and they got an incredible deal on Fox based on $5
They
billion
did.
for James
Oh, in
Bond.
hindsight,
Yeah.
An incredible deal.
it's just like sports. Everyone always worries about how much is too much money for paying for a player when 4 years from now, after that contract ends, it'll look like pennies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
over time. But I hope I don't regret this. I hope we don't look back and regret this as the end of James Bond.
It will.
I know.
I
feel.
think the
I feel
track
gross
record
about it.
is there
I feel
that-
super gross about
Nah,
it.
we kinda
Don't
were
think it'll work,
discussing-
but
that was us
I
last
just
week.
hope. I have this little sliver of hope that somehow, some way, they're going to put this in the right hands and they're going to make something.
I think that eternally people in this industry are attracted to this industry, are the type of people attracted to our industry, have that little kernel of hope all the time that just constantly gets dashed, and yet it burns again naively, and we never learn our lesson.
But the difference is they have money.
Yeah.
They can make those decisions and it'll burn them, but they'll have money.
Right.
Meanwhile, we gotta make money
Yeah.
on our end of things. Please make a good James
As
Bond
long as
movie.
they just put it in movie theaters, that's all I can ask for.
Exactly.
Well, I guess I want to ask
And
for it
good
to be
quality,
good.
but-
Yeah, be good and put it in movie theaters.
My first step is put Bond in theaters, then we'll
Yeah.
worry about the quality part later.
Right.
We'll take that.
James Bond making a Bond movie.
We'll take a B-level James Bond movie.
Take something as long as it's in theaters. Exclusively.
Well,
Yes.
Speaking of in theaters, Cody and I are going to be meeting theater owners in person the next few weeks.
Yeah, we have a lot of
Monday.
trips.
Yeah.
Monday, we're going to the Giant Screen Cinema Association Film Expo,
Yeah.
which is exciting.
It's like a whole nother group of, exhibitors that are non-traditional movie theater exhibitors. They are exhibitors that are like a museum or a convention center that has a giant screen that they may predominantly use, documentaries and other product on, but
So yeah, we're doing this for two
Branching out.
reasons. One, to bring other theaters into our circle and have other theaters work with Clark Film Buying, because most of these theaters don't operate after the zoo, the aquarium, the planetarium closes.
Yeah.
That's the end of their so
Yeah.
they have this incredible, usually it's laser or better as far as equipment, but they're not using it for anything else.
right.
So they have the ability to bring in some first run films, but we're planning on a lot of classic films and creating another audience for them
Yeah.
after hours. And then the second reason is because they play these short documentary style films. So for our first run theater clients that are only open nights or weekends, we may have this catalog to look at of, How the Owl Flies, the Grand Canyon, that we can play for school groups or educational purposes when you're not normally open, and bring in a rental for a couple hours, maybe even just an hour if you have a 40-minute run time.
Right. Or if you're located outside of major, like national park or I always go to geological landforms. So I'm like, if you're a theater outside the Grand Canyon or Yellowstone
Rocks.
But
you could do the rocks documentary.
Catalogs cover
rocks.
everything.
Yeah.
The one I always go to is like How Do Dogs' Noses Work, which played at a theater we work with for like 6 years.
Right.
But how awesome would
Amazing.
that be for like a first grade class
Yeah.
to be able to come in and see how dog noses work?
I do think
I
that
know I'm curious.
Yeah.
You keep repeating it.
I do think that moving forward, new exhibitors and people in the theater need to like take a step back and ingratiate themselves in their community more. I do think that they have, because of the way life is and the way technology has moved, I think they've gotten away from being so community based. And in this, we're trying to find ways that it makes sense financially, but also, community wise, to get back into providing that service to the community, making sense financially, and creating these really lasting memories there, so that the community then in turn wants to make sure that you stick around, because we are facing in the next few years new equipment needed across all of these little theaters again. And, we are struggling with content and with streaming that, you want to go out to your audience and say, I know you can see this at home, but come here because it matters.
Yeah, I think that's well said.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderfully well said. Now I'm about to say some not so great things.
Okay.
With the 2025 Off the Break Awards.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't been a part of any of the awards, so I'm ready.
We got
ready for
through
these.
the Oscars. It was another year where very few movies that made any money won any awards.
But at least they were theater exclusive movies. Thank goodness.
Except for Emilio Perez.
Blah, blah, blah.
We don't need to utter the name.
Zoe Saldana probably deserved her Oscar. I love her
Because she's been in enough theatrical movies.
in real
Avatar,
theater.
baby. That's what I'm thinking.
Really? You think
Star
of her in Avatar?
Treks,
Oh,
Guardians
yeah.
of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I think Star Trek.
I think Guardians of the
I actually
Galaxy
did rewatch
first.
those recently.
I
So
love that
good.
Star Trek.
That first one's awesome.
That
Anyway,
first
sorry.
one was so good.
It hits. It still hits. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, Ken. What were we gonna say?
It's time to honor the actors and films and countries that made
Ooh, what category is this?
movie theaters great in 2024. Even though the awards are 2025, this is like the NFL. This is like the Oscars. We roll it back a year.
Yeah.
Even though it's this year, it was last year's awards.
Mindset of a year prior.
The best actor for 2024.
Oh,
Nominees
this is
are
a big one.
Amy Poehler, Ryan Reynolds, Timothée Chalamet, or CGI Feelings, Animals, and Monsters.
Ooh, and there was a lot of those this year. But I'll go with my boy Chalamet. Just to
I'm
annoy
going
Ken.
with Amy Poehler.
And the winner is CGI Feelings, Animals, and Monsters,
Yeah.
It makes sense. Deserving.
Yeah.
Deserving.
who encompassed about 50% of the box office this year.
Yeah.
I mean, on top of like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, there probably was a Godzilla King Kong movie in there somewhere. We have Better Man just sneaking in at the tail end of the year.
Yeah, and Amy Poehler was, twice nominated because she was a feeling.
Amy Poehler. Oh, Inside Out 2.
Yeah, that's why
yeah.
I went with her, because
She was a feeling.
I felt like
I was like, what comedy came out that I
Inside
missed?
Out 2 felt like the first film. Like, I knew Deadpool was going to be big, but Inside Out 2 was the first one that surprised me, that felt like Disney got their mojo back on it. The theaters got that bump and that
spark.
That
and they
spark.
had a run. I mean, even
And
Alien
it
did well.
lasted, which was wonderful.
Alien did well.
Yeah.
Moana did obviously well.
Oh, yeah.
Complete Unknown was well above expectations, I would think.
But I think
Mufasa
there
was
wasn't a
great.
Moana
Chalamet.
without it. Inside Out. I think Inside Out what Inside Out did was get people over the issues they were having with Disney, with the wokeness and the conservative audience being like, we don't trust this anymore. And then you threw out an Inside Out and they were like, okay, this is good. We're back now. And then they were fine with Moana and now they're fine to move forward.
Yeah. I guess that's the best way to put it. I mean, I remember the conversations everywhere just being like, with movie theaters in general, are they actually back or are they going to be dying off for the 10,000th time of that argument, which we didn't buy, but it was nice, like, immediately after those conversations, because it was May, it was a rough time.
Yeah.
And then Inside Out 2 was like, nope.
We brought it back.
Just a movie for everyone. That's just what we need.
Yeah, our industry is all based on the movies. And if it's a good movie, people will come see it.
Yeah. Which, granted, we're still trying to figure that out. Right. As if you've heard us talk about with Love Hurts. Love Hurts.
Yeah.
And many other movies. But it was that was a good time. That was a breath of fresh air.
Our next category is the best rating of 2025 based on box office. The nominees are G, PG, PG-13, R, and Kyle's personal favorite, NC-17.
Yeah!
With its
I think
third straight nomination.
I think those have gone not rated now. I think they just slap an NR on it, and they're like, it could be bad.
And PG-13 is a heavy favorite.
Absolutely.
Because of many years. The winner this year? PG. For the first time in almost a decade.
I was gonna
on the Off the Break Awards.
I was gonna guess R.
I would think I could see that because I think of the biggest films this year, most of them are PG.
Wicked was PG,
which
pushed it over. If Wicked was PG-13, then PG-13 would have won
again.
See,
but
I was thinking the most amount of movies that had that.
No,
rating.
it's
so I was thinking R.
the ones that make the money.
But the ones that make the money.
I went through
it's about theaters,
and I just went through the
I'm
top 10 highest grossing.
Yeah.
PG had 6.
Can I guess?
Or 5.
Let's see. Well, Inside Out.
Can you guess the top 10? I would
Moana,
hope so, Cody.
Mufasa.
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, I thought you had them.
No.
Despicable Me 4.
I counted already.
I got 4 off the top of my head.
Those are a good 4, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those are all PG.
Yeah, they are.
Our next category, best country. Nominees
United
are
States.
China,
the United States,
imaginary CGI countries, and the USA.
Obviously, it's the USA.
Of course, it's the USA.
We make the best movies.
Inside Out, Deadpool, both based in the USA. Winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah.
At KFC because that's the best chicken because it's the most well-known chicken.
Because America.
And I would argue that if you take all the movies that are based in the USA and put them against the one movie that was in China that made $1 billion, we'd still make so many more billions of dollars.
Aha.
And the next category...
I'll take your word for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Next category has our worst betting odds. This one has been overwhelmingly won by one of the nominees for years at a time. Crushed. Okay. Category is best film buyer. For the first time, we have 4 nominees in this category.
Hey!
5-time nominee, myself, Ken. First-time nominees, Alyssa and Shayla. And then 5-time winner.
Reigning champ.
Currently reigning winner, Cody. And well, we're hoping for a surprise in this category. Cody wins again.
Oh, well,
I was going to say better be me.
Well deserving, of course.
Congratulations.
Hey,
do you have a speech?
I'd like to thank the support of my runner-up film buyer, Ken, right here. He definitely supports me, and I wouldn't be able to do what I do without his help.
Boo.
I take it
back.
I could totally do it without him.
There we go. That's what we like. That's what we like, a confidence in film buying.
Given our amazing website and my booking software, I really don't even need him, but it's nice to have a warm body in the office.
Ken's like, easy. Not that much.
Oh, sorry. I need somebody to get me coffee.
Ken, warm body coffee getter cruise. Call me that from now on. Move on to now Cody's favorite category.
Oh, okay.
Best Uggo.
It's about time we've had this category.
Best Uggo or worst Uggo?
This is Best Uggo.
Okay.
They are
the top tier Uggos.
Let's hear them.
They may be ugly in face, or Ugly in Spirit.
Oh,
But at
and
least
Ugly
they made
in-
money.
The
Ugly in
nominees:
Spirit. Okay,
Justin Baldoni,
I'll go.
Alex
He's hairy. Too.
Alex
Gross.
Wolff
Who's that?
from one of the Uggos from A Quiet Place Day One. Joseph Quinn, also another Uggo from A Quiet Place Day One. Finn Wolfhard
Oh,
from Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Hey,
rough.
good on him
Poor
to
guy.
get into the category, though.
Yeah.
I forgot he was in a movie this year.
And our lone Hollywood woman on the list. I do a lot of work on this. I did a lot of research.
I like it. I like it.
Anna Taylor-Joy for Furiosa.
I'm not clapping for that one.
Oh,
That's
Kyle, do you
mean.
have a real crush?
Yeah.
I think her eyes are too
Is
far
it
apart.
is it because you could
She looks like a bug.
you could stand in the middle and she couldn't see you? You could punch her in the face and she'd
Don't.
never know it was
She
coming.
only sees
her in the
movements on the side,
She's like,
like a deer.
a velociraptor.
No, to none of those.
And the winner is Finn Wolfhard because he is an Uggo and even his name is ugly. Finn Wolfhard, you have to be
Congrats,
7
Finn.
foot tall, 400 pounds of pure muscle.
That's right. That
You-
is a
To pull
Viking
off
name.
that name.
Yes.
That is a Viking name. Yeah.
A Viking
Can
who
he play a Viking
hunts in the
squire or
who hunts in the water. Like
Yeah.
Finn Wolfhard. His name was James, but then he started swimming around and killing sharks with his bare hands.
Well, hey, I didn't even expect him to appear in this category, so props to him for getting this far.
Yeah, you can only get there if you're seen on screen. So good
And our-
job.
Our
Yeah.
final category, Best Film.
Best film. Ooh,
Nominees are Anora,
Okay.
Conclave, The Brutalist,
Why any of these? Are these the
and Inside Out 2.
Inside Out 2?
And the
Just for
obvious
that
winner
joke.
is Inside Out 2.
Ah, I really thought Conclave
Blew
would
away
take
the
it.
box office. Entertained families for weeks at the box office.
It was wonderful.
Glorious.
I would say as second runner-up that should have made that list, Deadpool.
It could have,
It
I
could
could
have,
see it.
but
but Conclave was pretty
Kyle
good.
Kyle didn't like it, so
So it didn't make it the list because Kyle thought it was
he
meh.
didn't like it. Well, they now have 10 Best Pictures at the Oscars, and that's a
Yeah.
little excessive.
That is.
So I went with 4, and 3 of them weren't even real candidates.
It
Yeah.
is a tight race. It can't even put in 5 like it usually is.
No, we don't have time for that. We do not have time for that.
I like this year's categories.
Wraps
Yes.
up the Off the Break Awards for 2024, but done in 2025, like how the Oscars does it.
Yes.
Yep. Like how everything else works, like we said before.
Aren't you glad we're talking about last year's movies in the midst of this year?
In the midst of March.
Yeah.
A little fun to go with
A
your
little
spring
fun.
weather.
Yeah. To talk about the films where we already bled them dry.
On that note, we've got Mickey 17 this week.
Yeah, let's hope it does well. Does big.
We got lots of exciting things coming in the next few weeks.
I think the
different?
rest
Little
of the
exciting?
I think the rest of the month looks pretty good. I don't think there's anything huge coming out. I know that Disney is really high on Snow White. It'll probably be the biggest movie of March, but
Yeah.
but I
Which
think
is
there's
good.
enough there
Cody,
that
how could it not be the biggest movie of March? It'll probably be the biggest movie
Hey,
of March.
Probably.
Mickey 17.
What is
Alto
this?
Nights. Hello.
Alto Nights at its limited locations. Looney Tunes.
watch.
I'm,
Looney Tunes.
I'm rooting for Looney Tunes.
Everyone's rooting for Looney Tunes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's got a long hill to climb.
Yeah.
It does.
Doesn't have Warner Bros. Backing.
I know. It's sad.
Yeah.
It feels weird.
Well, at least it's being released regardless. But
Right.
It's in theaters.
It's in
Yes,
theaters. We
that
get
too.
it. It's a Looney Tunes movie. Get your kids out, see it.
yeah, looks
Be
fun.
good.
Yep. Best of luck to Alyssa, Shayla, and Ken next year on the
Yeah.
Best Film Buyer Award.
We'll see if you book it at movies in enough locations. We can get our terms lowered.
If I get enough good coffee, apparently.
I'll root for you guys.
Runner up.
We got a 3-time winner already. It's time to shake it up.
What are you saying, Kyle?
Hey,
Am I getting rusty? Do I
I'm
not
saying
deserve
rusty. You're
the
a
award?
You're a 3-time winner.
Yeah, but
There's
do
no
I not
rust.
deserve a 4th award?
Hey, we just gotta see
We'll
it.
see what happens,
We
okay?
gotta see what happens.
It's barely March. We'll see how things go.
I'm feeling
It's
really
a
good
long
about
year.
my odds.
Good. 3-time winner. You should have that.
Yeah.
Chip on the shoulder still.
I'm gonna be
Bet-
like the Tom Brady of this. Like, you didn't pick me for the first year. You'll
Has
always regret
rings
this.
on every finger.
Bet,
Bam!
bet $100 to win $100.01
Yeah.
at moviekings.com.
That's what Ken would do.
Make movies into betting.
I've tried this multiple times, Kyle.
Yeah.
We got other visions down the road, but we still got that in the back pocket.
On that note, bye, everybody. If we don't see you at the Giant Screen Cinema Association, hopefully we'll see you at CinemaCon in April.
Yes.
The whole team's going, right?
The whole team is
Everybody.
going. Kyle's going, Alyssa, Shayla.
Even the dog. Cody doesn't know yet.
No.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
All that excitement with the Off the Break Awards, and we forgot to pick a new movie this week.
Popcorn bucket pick.
Everybody threw in one quick movie while we settle out exactly how we're going to decide to do this next round.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think we should go by themes, but this next
wild card
round is a wild card round. So it's just anybody put a random one in.
Yeah, this was so on the fly. It practically
Yeah.
is wild card.
It's a weird fold. It's a weird fold.
Did you pick out my weird fold?
It's a weird fold.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
yay, you picked mine.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
I don't think it's yours, Cody.
Oh. I
It
don't.
could be yours. I would never expect you to pick this movie in a million years.
Okay.
Kyle, you're going to love this pick.
Oh.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
That is totally my pick.
Hey.
your
That
pick?
is your
Yeah.
pick?
I've
That's
never
a
s-
good pick.
I've never seen it. It is one of our best clients' manager's favorite movie, and I
Uh-huh.
wanted to showcase it for her. So,
I like it. And it's
and I
it's
had never
so
seen
good.
it, so it's going to be new to me.
I
Oh,
I
that
think
is-
you guys are gonna have a good time with it.
I love this movie.
Oh, so you have seen
I've
it?
seen it.
Okay.
I love
yeah,
this
yeah,
one.
Yeah. Okay,
That's
Cody,
great. I'm excited.
I think this could
Yeah.
be a Cody movie. Absolutely.
You think so?
I think so. I got a good feeling about
Ooh.
this.
I'm gonna not look at anything ahead of time and
Yeah.
not have any
Go in blind.
conceptions. I'm going to go in blind and
You get our fresh take on Tucker and Dale versus Evil next week.
yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Off the Break Podcast. Find us on all podcast platforms and be sure to like and follow our Facebook and Instagram pages at Off the Break Podcast.